Welcome back to the Best Friday channel on YouTube. My name is Fearlxss. We're going to be telling the Goldilocks story. Now, you might be wondering, what on earth are you talking about? And no, I'm not talking about the story Goldilocks, like the children's book about the three bears. No. It's... Let me explain. So, there's this science place called COSI. I believe that's the name. It's called COSI, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But... So, we had a school trip to COSI, and I was one of the bad kids. So, all the bad kids were in one group. There was like 5 of us. Everyone else had like, you know, people's parents guiding them and stuff, like chaperoning, right? We, however, were with the principal. But the principal had important things to do, so he kind of just left us alone the entire time. So, it was just all the bad kids roaming around, right? And this other bad kid, let's just call him John. John said to me, he said, "You see that guy up there? You should call him Goldilocks." And I was like, "What? Why?" But eventually he managed to convince me, and I was like, "Okay, why not? I guess it could be funny." So I called this kid Goldilocks. He was a little bit taller than me. I'm 6'2". This guy was probably like 18 feet. I ain't gonna lie. Okay, no. Let's see. He was like 6'5". He was just a little bit taller than me. He had, like, long hair, down to here, black hair. To be honest, I don't even remember his name. Like, I don't know his real name. I don't know. But anyways, so John told me to call him Goldilocks, so I called him Goldilocks. And he got really mad, and he just had the funniest face ever. So every time I saw him, I would just call him Goldilocks, and he would get more and more mad, and it was just funny. I was like, "Hey, what's up, Goldilocks?" And he was just like... And it was just so funny. Like, the way he did it was even more funny. But anyways... about 2 years go by. Actually, no. I lied. 1 year goes by. Because this was in 7th grade. No. Hold on. Sorry, my time frame's all messed up. This was in 6th grade. Yeah, this was in 6th grade. And, we went to COSI. Called him Goldilocks. Boom, boom. Everything was done. A year later, 7th grade. In 7th grade at my school, we eat our breakfast in the cafeteria. That might sound normal, but in high school, we eat it in our classroom. So, we were in the cafeteria, and John comes up to me again, and he starts talking to me. It has nothing to do with anything. It was just about some video game or whatever, and then that was that. And then I see Goldilocks, the guy Goldilocks. I see him, and he's like, "I'm going to beat the shit out of you." And I was like, "For what?" And he was like, "You know what you did." And I was like, "No, I didn't do anything." And I thought he was talking about me calling him Goldilocks, because I still called him Goldilocks to this day. Well, not this day, but in the story. I still called him Goldilocks to that day, right? Because I didn't even know his name, and I didn't really feel like asking him, because why would I actually care? I don't even know the kid at all, pretty much. So, that was that. I called him Goldilocks, you know, and I didn't know if he was mad about that, because he seemed to be even more angry than usual. So, that day at lunch, we had French toast, and you know, the syrup got on my hands. It was all sticky. I went all the way to the bathroom to wash my hands. And then I was heading back to the cafeteria. And as soon as I turned the corner, when I was in the bathroom, the bell rang. So everyone was coming from lunch, crowding the halls and everything. And I left, turned the corner, and he just punched me right in the mouth and ran away. So, that was that. One of my adult teeth was not knocked out. It wasn't knocked out or anything. It was just a little bit crooked. It's fine now. You know, it's been like it's been 6 years. Yeah, it's been 6 years since this happened. So my teeth, it just kind of went back in the correct spot on its own, right? So after he punched me and just ran away like a wimp, I saw a teacher talking to him, and I was just like, I don't care. I was like dazed. I didn't know what was going on. It was like I was on something. I went back to class. Apparently my mouth was bleeding. I didn't even notice. And then apparently I had a bruise on my like where he punched me. He punched me like right here. So there was a big bruise right here. Didn't know, because I can't see myself. But yeah, that period I got called to the office, and then we were talking with the, I believe it was superintendent. Wow, what was her name? Well, I'm not going to tell you her name, but Vice principal. That's what I think. Yeah, she was the vice principal at the time. It's been 6 years. Yeah, so she was the vice principal. And basically, he was starting to tell his side of the story. And I was like, whoa, 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 hold up. That's not what happened. And they were just both ignoring me. Both of them were just straight up ignoring me. Which I expect him to ignore me, right? But the vice principal, why would you ignore a student that just got punched? Like, what? So he tells her, he's like, he called me adopted at breakfast. And I was like, no, I didn't. And then she was like, shush, he's telling his side. And I was like, okay. Like, so anyways, he tells his side saying that I apparently called him adopted at lunch, or breakfast, sorry, which I didn't, by the way. And I didn't say this, but John is actually friends with the kid. John is friends with Goldilocks, right? So, what I assumed happened was John went up to him and lied. And, like, because John was talking to me, right, at breakfast. And then he went right back to his table and started talking to him. And that's when he stared at me. I didn't say that, but he stared at me right after John talked to him, right? So I assume John told him that I called him adopted when I didn't. Just because that's just how John is. John is an asshole. He starts drama for no reason. So I'm assuming that's what happened. And I tried explaining that to them. I was like, I didn't say that. Maybe it was John. But they didn't believe me. Because obviously, like, if your friend tells you that someone called you adopted, you're probably going to believe them because they're your friend, right? You wouldn't think they would just lie to you like that. So he probably didn't believe me, and he believed John. So, anyways, then he starts talking about how I call him Goldilocks. And the vice principal was like, why do you call him Goldilocks? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why I do it now, but when I first met him for the first time, John told me to call him Goldilocks because it would be funny. And he was like, and the vice principal, she was like, no. And I was like, what do you mean, no? You weren't there. That's literally what happened. She was like, no. I bet you call him Goldilocks because it's another way of you calling him Wimpy, right? And I was like, no. I don't call him Goldilocks because I think he's a wimp. That's not, like, maybe someone has done that in the past, not me. I didn't call him Goldilocks as a way of insulting him and calling him a wimp. That's not what happened. I called him Goldilocks because it was funny. That's literally what it was. So, she didn't believe me. Because why would you? You know, someone literally gets, like, punched in the face in your hallway, and you're going to believe the guy that punched him over the guy that got punched. Very good. She's not the vice principal anymore, luckily. She actually got fired. I don't remember what it was for, but she did end up getting fired, I believe, less than a year later. So that's good. She didn't deserve that job if she was going to treat me like that. Like, that's like if I literally beat someone near the point of death, and she took my side, right? Like, that wouldn't make any sense, and that's pretty much what happened. So, yeah. She said I was going to get ISS, right? That's what it's called, in-school suspension, for a week. And guess what? He, scot-free. He got off scot-free, even though he punched me. And I told nothing but the truth. Nothing but the truth. I get ISS for a week. And, you know, the funniest thing is I actually didn't end up getting it because at the end of the day, she called me into her office. Like, it was literally when class just got out. The last class just got out. I was about to leave. She came up. Or she called me into the, what do you want to call it? It was like a big round table with a bunch of people in suits. So I guess it was the school board maybe? I don't know. But anyways, she stared at me and she was like, you're not getting instant suspension because, well, actually, I don't even remember the reason. I don't remember. She didn't give me instant suspension for some reason. And then she told me, I guess in a way of making me feel bad, that the Goldilocks' mom was crying that I called him adopted, which, again, I didn't. I would never do that to anybody. But, yeah, she was telling me that his mom was crying about it. And then I just, you know, she just told me to leave and I left. But in that moment, I really just wanted to scream at her and be like, should I give a fuck? Should I give a fuck that she's crying about that? Because I didn't do it. I didn't say he was adopted. So if she's crying about it, I don't give a fuck because I didn't do anything. But yeah, I didn't say that. Unfortunately, I kind of wish I did at this point because she got fired anyway. She got what she deserved, so I should have just... actually, yeah, she got what she deserved, so I'm glad I didn't do it. But, sometimes I just wish I could go back and do it, you know? But, yeah, that's the Goldilocks story. After that, the guy switched schools. Goldilocks, he switched schools. Never saw him again. But, yeah, that part at the end really just made me mad. Like, why are you telling me that his mom was crying about that? I already told you like 4,000 times that I didn't call him adopted. You know? Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want more Tales of Fearlxss, let me know. I have 3 more stories so far to tell. There's definitely more, but I gotta dig deep in my memory bank, my hippocampus. I gotta dig deep in my hippocampus to find some stories. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see all of you in the next one. Bye-bye.